What's up, Taiwan? I'm Eric Gao, and thanks for joining us here for the news. President Lai Ching-te's plans for a crucial national security briefing has fallen through after opposition leaders refused to participate. Leslie Liao has more on what the meeting was supposed to be about and why it didn't go ahead.
A long-anticipated national security briefing scheduled for Wednesday morning would have marked the first time in Taiwan a sitting president briefed opposition leaders on sensitive national security issues. Quite significant considering rising tensions in the Taiwan Strait and the many threats that Taiwan faces from China. But this briefing is now not going forward. The main opposition Kuomintang chair Eric Zhu and the smaller Taiwan People's Party chair Huang Guocang both declined the invite. There were reportedly some disagreements over the format and what was on the agenda. Originally, this meeting was supposed to be an icebreaker between Taiwan's ruling and opposition parties, which are feuding intensely now. It was an olive branch President Lai extended in a speech for his one-year anniversary in office. The presidential office has expressed regret over the opposition leaders' decision, but stressed that the door for communication is still open. One of the reasons TPP chair Huang Guocang gave for not going to the meeting was that he didn't want the meeting to be just about national security. There were also disagreements over whether parts of the briefing should be open to the public or remain closed door throughout, as the presidential office requested. Another major block seems to be the ongoing mass lawmaker recall movement. Civic groups have launched recall campaigns against dozens of KMT lawmakers, and many of them are expected to head to a public vote in the next few weeks. The KMT's Zhu has explicitly said he wants these campaigns against KMT lawmakers to be called off before cross-party talks can happen.
赖总统用你最大的智慧去化解大罢免，才是朝野对话的最重要的一个基础。
On Wednesday morning, the DPP held its own press conference accusing the opposition of threatening national security by neglecting legislation aimed at bolstering the country's defenses. A DPP legislator also responded to the opposition's unwillingness to attend the briefing in a rather colorful way.
总统520就跟你讲要做国安简报，邀请在野党大家听一下国安简报。国庆啊，就要直播，我跟你讲啦，若要直播哦，恁拢免来啦。 要直播就迄国安简报都报备，全台湾包括阿强啊、习近平拢看会到。
But despite those strong words, the presidential office and the KMT have both expressed willingness to continue to communicate. So even though the national security briefing didn't happen on Wednesday morning, there's still hope that the frigid relations between Taiwan's opposition and ruling parties can thaw. Luffy Li, Justin Wu, and Leslie Liao for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's first domestically made submarine, the Haikun, has completed its initial sea trial. The $1.67 billion vessel is part of the country's efforts to modernize its military amid increasing aggression from China. Several countries, including the US and UK, helped with its development. Taiwan aims to have 2 locally made submarines on active duty by 2027. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney has wrapped up his first time hosting the annual G7 summit. The 2 days of talks between some of the world's top leaders saw an early exit by U.S. President Donald Trump amid growing tensions in the Middle East. For a breakdown of the summit, Izzy Wells spoke to Jae-Han Park, an assistant professor at Nanyang Technological University.
Now, this year's G7 summit in Canada has now officially wrapped up. What was a key takeaway for you?
In terms of issues, the leaders of the G7 group agreed upon 7 issues. One is the ongoing conflict in the Middle East, and there were 6 others. And importantly, I think, this year they included quantum computing and critical mineral supply. And of importance, they did not agree upon how to deal with Russia in terms of the ongoing Ukraine war. The second part is who are there and who are not. Obviously, the Group of 7 was formed at the height of the Cold War in the 1970s in response to economic crisis. But this time around, they have some invited countries, including South Africa, Australia, South Korea, and so on, and importantly, India. So they were having meetings on the sideline. And finally, the international balances of power, military and economic power, have been shifting towards the Indo-Pacific, and whether the existing structure can accommodate to the new reality without compromising its underlying principles is going to be a challenge moving forward.
As you mentioned, G7 leaders did sign a joint statement on the Middle East, but they didn't on Ukraine. What is the significance of that?
Well, I think it is significant, but also we have seen this drama before. President Trump obviously wants to make a deal with President Vladimir Putin. And with the ongoing war in the Middle East, there have been speculations as to Mr. Trump wanting to commission Mr. Putin as some sort of mediator in terms of ongoing war in the Middle East. So there is nothing that we have not seen before, but it sort of crystallizes the existing schism between the transatlantic partners.
Leaders at this summit all had trade on their mind. Why was British Prime Minister Keir Starmer the only one to walk away with a deal with President Trump?
So there are a lot of reports saying that he himself wanted to have deals with various partners around the world, and other individual states wanted to have FaceTime with Mr. Trump, focusing primarily on getting the tariffs down and so on and so forth. And Prime Minister Ishiba had a meeting with President Trump. Prime Minister Carney also had a meeting with Trump as well. But as you said, British Prime Minister was the only one who got the deal. There are a lot of speculations that Japanese Prime Minister is pursuing the strategy to sort of, like he's taking time to come to the conclusion in terms of tariffs. Prime Minister of Canada said they would have like a 30-day deadline in terms of finalizing the negotiations. So I think it's more of a case-by-case basis, and the lack of enough time for them to have FaceTimes.
That was Jae-Han Park from Nanyang Technological University. An NGO called No HIV by Heart has worked with doctors and researchers on a report calling on the government to pay more attention to the health of sexual minorities and on HIV prevention. Irene Lin was there.
It's been nearly 4 decades since Taiwan reported its first HIV case. And while sexual health awareness around gay men has grown since then, sex workers and transgender people still fall outside of the discussion. A new white paper report from local NGO Known HIV by Heart finds that many from these marginalized groups lack knowledge of how to prevent or get help for HIV, and the barrier to public resources and professional help persists.
取得资源的过程，每一步对他们来说都是，到底是要揭露到什么程度？到底有没有需要揭露？我今天看这个为什么要讲？所以变成很多人因为这些困难、这些障碍，他就决定去选择，他就会限缩他自己做资讯或资源取得的这个机会。
Sex workers are at high risk of contracting HIV, and physicians are often more likely to prescribe them pre-exposure medication like PrEP. But without a legal way to prove their work status and a hesitancy among sex workers to see doctors, many do not get access to these treatments. And for transgender people, there are added risks of taking PrEP as they undergo transition.
预防投药啊，或者是这些疫苗，很多时候也会想说，那会不会跟我现在的荷尔蒙有一些抵触？那或者是说，比方说以 PrEP 来讲，一个跨性别女性，她要用男生的方式去用呢，是要用女生的方式去用？
Advocates in the medical and research field today say structural changes are needed to spark more public discussions about sexual health, including those around prevention and treatment.
民间团体的话，主要就是整合这些资源，然后直接是服务他面对的这些社群朋友。就是民间团体的力量其实不够，其实我们还是会需要除了公单位的这些资源之外，其实我觉得来自私人的这些，比如说企业啊这些资源，其实也很重要。
Professionals today hope with more help from the public and private stakeholders, they will be able to guide more minority individuals to the medical help they need and ensure their safety at work. Ryan Wu and Irene Lin in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
The Seoul International Book Fair has kicked off, bringing together authors and publishers from all over the world, including many from Taiwan, this year's guest of honor. It attracted large crowds of readers excited to find their new favorite reads. Cadence Quaranta was there.
Authors, publishers, and book lovers from all across the world have descended on South Korea's capital city today for the opening of the Seoul International Book Fair, which is well underway all around me. It's been Korea's largest book festival for nearly 70 years, connecting those involved in creating and publishing books to those who read them. This year, over 500 publishing companies and other related organizations from 17 countries are participating. including exhibitors from Asia, the Middle East, and Europe. The event kicked off this morning.
3, 2, 1, 지하를 날려주세요.
Officials say this year's book fair is particularly important at a moment of change for both Korea's publishing industry and its government. Korea has just elected a new president. The previous president was ousted after he temporarily imposed martial law on the country.
새로운 대통령이 책을 사랑하고 그 정책이 책을 사랑하는 사람들을 늘려가는 것이기를 간절히 기원합니다. 마음에 들지 않는다고 계엄령을 선포하고 국민들이 갈라치게 되고 언론 출판의 자유가 제한될 위협에 처하게 만들었던 사람들이 바로 얼마 전까지 권력을 장악하고 있었습니다. 새로운 출판 정책은 책을 만드는 사람들을 억누르고 분열시키지 않고 힘을 북돋는 것이길 바랍니다.
Korea's publishing industry faces a turning point as well, facing the effects of AI and audio technology. Amid this climate, officials here emphasize the importance of maintaining a sustainable book industry.
책을 읽지 않는 사회는 결국 생각하지 않는 사회, 질문하지 않는 사회가 될 수밖에 없습니다. 비판적 사고와 창의성, 공감과 연대의 힘은 모두 독서에서부터 시작됩니다. 그 어느 때보다도 독서를 바라보는 깊은 고민이 필요할 때입니다.
He says generating interest in books among younger generations is especially important. And here at the book fair this year, there are many young people.
The thing is that it's our first time here, and we thought that it would actually be a nice day to come here to see how people enjoy books. And we're excited to actually see all the other international publishers, especially the Penguin Random House, because we grew up with those children's books. So,
I read this a lot.
Yes.
I just bought this is a literature magazine, so I'm interested in Korean literature. Yeah, my major is also Korean literature.
Those from Korea tell us that reading books is now becoming popular again among young people in the country because of local independent bookstores and social media.
It is trend in Korea, younger people.
Yeah. To read actual books.
Yeah, read actual book and to post reading books in Instagram.
People started lining up to pick up their wristbands for the book fair over an hour before the doors opened, eager to get inside. The fair's theme this year is the last resort, which it describes as that one thing, idea, or person you turn to when life gets tough. It's dedicated an entire exhibition to this concept. The fair's guest of honor this year is Taiwan, with a dedicated pavilion right at the entrance of the book fair, displaying over 500 Taiwanese titles, hosting cultural events, and offering Taiwanese snacks. The pavilion with its own kickoff today.
We hope this space give you not just only the book to explore, but also the real thing of Taiwan and our story, our emotion, and our way of life.
Crowds of people visited the pavilion on opening day, including one of Korea's past presidents, who has been out of office since 2022 and has since opened a bookstore. The fair will go on until the 22nd. Over the next few days, there will also be many talks and seminars going on, discussing topics like the effects of AI on the industry. So this space feels like it's buzzing right now, with people from all different places sharing ideas and knowledge, publishers making connections, authors sharing their work, and book lovers maybe even finding their new favorite read. Ska Huang and Cadence Quaranta in Seoul for TaiwanPlus.
Thanks for watching What's Up Taiwan. Visit our website to see more of our news reports and other programs. Finally, check out these scientists replanting underwater forests to restore biodiversity off Greece. I'm Eric Gao. Take care, and we'll see you next time.